Welcome to the Build Business Acumen podcast, where we deliver practical knowledge and powerful guidance. Here is your futuristic host, Nathaniel Schooler.
Today I'm interviewing Spencer. Spencer Gallagher is the CEO and co-founder of Cactus. Cactus is UK's leading agency growth consultancy, and they have supported over 1,000 agencies globally over the past 8 years. Cactus works with the next generation of independent agencies to help them scale. Spencer is also the co-author of Agencynomics, the Amazon 5-star rated best-selling book and audiobook aimed to help all types of agencies scale from startup to the first 3 to 5 million in revenue. Spencer started his agency life in 1999 and exited his agency Blue Halo to Gyro in 2008 and took Blue Halo and Gyro to the 8th largest digital agency in the UK in 2009. Gyro is now part of the Dentsu network. We just have a general chit chat really. It's quite an interesting episode if you're in the agency world. Well, hi there, Spencer. It's nice to speak to you again.
Oh, it's great to catch up. We have these fantastic conversations from time to time, and I always look forward to them, Nate.
Me too. So I know you've built a big business and you've sold it. Wasn't it a top 10 digital agency in the UK? Or?
Yeah, when I finally exited Blue Halo, we were ranked the 10th largest digital agency in the UK. So it was quite an achievement, really, considering I started in a shed in my mum's back garden in 1999 and had to weather the dot-com crash in 2001. So, it was a good journey. I built this business up. I sold it to a larger advertising company in the end, to take over the mantle and continue the journey. But I used to build all the Premiership football club websites, used to build like Tottenham and Liverpool, work with people like Andy Murray, the Premier League. So we were pretty big in sports. BlackBerry, when we always used BlackBerries before iPhones, was a big client as well. So that was the sort of my first business success.
Fantastic. That must have been a lot of fun. So did you have a lot of employees there, Spencer?
Yeah, the team in the end was finished up. It actually finished up I had sort of 200 in my digital team at the end, but the group that I then got bought up by, I was in the leadership team of about 600. So we were running, marketing, advertising, and digital campaigns globally across the world. It was quite a big team, but not tens of thousands. So maybe a small big business.
So it wasn't a lifestyle business for you. It was a scalable planned exit, right?
Well, I wasn't really planned. I guess when I started, I'd actually been made redundant 3 times in 1 year from sales jobs. I realized that people were becoming more and more impatient with salespeople and the results that they bring in. And I think every time I got made redundant, I think all the deals that I'd been working on sort of came in. So I made this decision. I was in my spare time. I was building websites in the early 90s, and I'd been to America and I'd seen all the television adverts over there containing website URLs, before they were in the UK, and decided that I'd start to, to start a business really building websites for people. At that stage, I am literally in a purple shed in my mum's back garden building websites for the local Indian restaurant and, local hire company and some small, and the business was lifestyle. I think I was earning, year one, something like £35,000, but I was working for myself, working the hours I wanted to work. And year two, which is probably half my salary, by the way, my first year earnings in the business. But year two, I was up to about the same, maybe a bit more, £70,000-£80,000 a year. There was 2 of us, and it was very much a lifestyle business. In fact, in my head, I could only really ever see myself at that stage growing a business of about 8 people. I had no visions of grandeur, no visions of scaling and selling. I think the business kind of just, the internet, as you know, grew massively through once the dot-com crash happened early 2000s. By 2003, BT had sort of moved on to this thing called broadband away from ISDN. And all of a sudden I found myself with like 1,000 clients by about 2005. And the business just started to grow. I mean, we were a Deloitte Tech Fast 50 and European Fast 500 growth business. And the business just started scaling really fast. And as a result of that, the chaos that happened. I mean, I was just trying to grow the business to be the biggest in the country, but it got to a point where organic growth was quite hard, and I didn't maybe have all the cash needed to go and buy a business to grow through acquisition to become even bigger. Somewhere along the journey, I met a big firm of accountants who said, look, there may be another way for you to get to your end goal, by actually becoming part of something much bigger. And that's kind of how I guess I ended up selling the business, because, they took my billings and took their billings and put them together, and it made a much bigger business. But I did okay out of the exit. I owned the business 100%, which really helped. And I sold the business at a particularly, good point in the economy just before everything crashed in 2008. But I would like to say I was a genius and timed that well, but that was probably luck than anything. So yes, I mean, that was really the truthful story. I mean, I definitely woke up a couple of times and thought, this is getting quite hard now. I was feeling quite burnt out often at times when I wasn't really looking after myself, taking enough holidays, maybe working a bit too hard. But yeah, I think it wasn't a conscious decision to build and sell, weirdly. Today, I guess it's quite different, because now I'm helping businesses are going in when they are small and helping them scale. This time I kind of ask them up front. I say, what are you doing? Are you like me? Are you looking initially just to build an 8-man agency, or are you looking to build, are you looking for world domination? And I think I try and find that early on with people when I work with them. I think it's important that people understand what it is they're doing and what does the journey look like on both sides. And I guess different types of personalities probably have different visions for their business as well, and different ambitions. So yeah, so that's kind of it really. I mean, in the early days of helping businesses, I was a bit anti-lifestyle because obviously I built and sold a business myself, and I'd seen it been quite a successful route. And both my parents had lifestyle businesses. They've nothing glamorous. They both had cleaning companies, but at the end of their, when they went to retire, they didn't have a lot to show for it. They'd paid their mortgages off, or they'd always had nice cars, but they hadn't really, maybe created massive wealth independent. So when I was first going in, I was sort of trying to convince everyone why they should scale. But I guess as I kind of matured in the role of helping and, mentoring and coaching people to grow, I started to realize that actually the most important thing is that if people are going to have a lifestyle business, that they don't just take all the cash out of their business and use it for their personal living expenses, but they actually start to use that money to invest in their retirement, in their future. Because I do get a lot of phone calls, right, from people in their 60s going, hey, I've built this agency over the last 20, 30 years, and we're 6 of us. I'd like to know if I could sell the business now. And it's just not worth anything, right? It's been, there's no value in that business at all. The relationships are all with the owners. And I said, I do hope you've been saving away for the last 30 years. Oh, no, I want to grow it and sell it now. And I'm like, you're probably a bit late, if I'm honest. And it's, so I think it is important to know from the outset, what are you trying to do? And I've had people who say they're going to scale and then kind of decide that it's too hard and focus on lifestyle. And I've had people who've scaled and made no money, and people who've stayed lifestyle and made fortunes. And, so I think the difference is often quite subjective, whether or not, lifestyle business can't make as much money as a business that sells. But on the whole, it's important for me now to find out which is their particular routes, and then hopefully optimize the business, around their plans for that. It's quite a long answer, that really, wasn't it?
Well, it's good to get to the bottom of it, isn't it? I whilst you were talking, I was thinking about my dad, and they had a lifestyle business, my mum and dad, and it when I grew up, it was kind of weird. Like, it was just sort of like, but my dad, he didn't treat it like a lifestyle business because he loved it so much. It's kind of like when a hobby becomes a business.
Yeah, you
kind of just work all the hours under the sun, and you don't have a hobby anymore. And it's a really difficult call. It's just like there's a thing. Yes, you got a passion for what you do, but like if you step away from it and you go, well, actually, I'm not looking after myself. I'm not looking after my friends, my family, and my exercise routine and my meditation, and whatever you enjoy doing. Then it's not a lifestyle business. It's just like a business that you've been sucked into, and that's a real struggle for me, because I'm working really hard in to grow what I'm doing, and I love everything that I do. Most of it, I'm not going to lie. There's always admin that drives you around the bend, right? But it's not easy, is it?
No, I mean, I think, people have got to understand that a lifestyle business still needs to grow, because, if it's not growing, it's dying. So you can't just necessarily sit back and, let the passive income roll in, because ultimately in the end, it will come under threat. The business will start to fade away. So you have to invest time in it. And then there's a fine line, isn't there, between that time of keeping what's important to you in balance. I have this sort of grid that I draw, a matrix, and I sort of write my wife, myself, my kids, and my business, and I sort of score them: plus for too much, minus for not enough, and plus minus. And I constantly try and keep myself in check, so I'm getting time for myself, time for my kids, time for my wife, and time for the business. Because actually today, I guess my business now is a lifestyle business, and just like you just said, I've hit a point. I wrote a book last year, and that almost tipped over the lifestyle business to the point where everyone wants to suddenly talk to you. Everyone wants to kind of, more people want to work with you. And I think, tomorrow night I've got my son's parents' evening, something like when I had my scalable business, I didn't really see my son till he was 6 years old when I grew my first business. It pains me to say that, but the truth is I was up at 6 and I was back at, 10, 11. And I probably, I was that classic, 90, 100-hour week person. I was working offices in 16 countries. So, you've got the Middle East, you're working weekends, you're on the phone to West Coast America till 10, 11 at night. And so I vowed with my new consultancy that I would never do that. I would basically be there. And I have been, but since the book, like for example, tomorrow night, parents' evening, I'm going to struggle to get there. And that's really painful for me, because that's probably the first time. If I missed one of my son's football matches, recently, because I couldn't get back from where I was. And I thought all of a sudden it's starting to now, encroach. And that's, I guess, the checking mechanism I've got to do on myself to try and prevent, that from happening. Well, with this business, look, I might go and have another scalable business next time, but for the moment, I've got to try and stay true to what I'm doing. So yeah, I do agree with you.
Sounds like a lot of fun though.
Yeah, and you're right. If you do what you love, then you never work a day in your life, right? And that's the hobby thing, which is great. And I think, I do what I love. I don't want to run another agency, but I love helping people. I love working on people's businesses, and I know you're the same. You're passionate about everything that you do. You always have been. And I think if you do that, that meme, you never work a day in your life, is so true. It's just sometimes the hobby, as you say, suddenly just starts running away with itself, and you've almost got to, you've got to learn to say no, haven't you?
Yeah. But I think also there needs to be a sort of healthy mix between, the time that you put in and also the technologies that you're using, because there must be certain things. I know you're good with kind of, you've got your PA and she helps organize the finer details of the meetings, like, for instance, like chasing me up on this Zoom link for the recording for this, But
I'm like you. You just said, you sort of said about the admin. I understand who I am, and I am a really good. I'm a very good strategist. I'm brilliant with creative ideas, but detail is not my strong point. So that's why my business partner now is my former FD. So I have, a wingman, a business partner who handles all the financials, and then I have a PA who enables me or an EA to be able to pick up everything, to do all that detail thinking for me. And I think, it's great when you've got a scalable business, because you have all those people around you.
Yeah.
When it's just you don't, you've then got to identify that. And you're right, the software tools, will really, really help you. And I think that's where probably the most exciting areas are for people like you and I now, is because there's a huge amount of stuff that we can do to automate, some of the details. So, certain accounting products now just make it so much easier, right? To raise invoices, to look at your finances compared to what it used to be like. There's so many great email tools, like the way that CRM integrates into your email, all those things really help you save time, right?
for sure. But then doesn't it go back to like thinking, well, actually, do I have a job or do I have a business? Because like there's a completely different, it's a disconnect. And that's, I think, a lot of the problem with a lot of people. Like I'm moving from freelancer. I'm in the process of moving from freelancer to business. Yeah.
Yeah.
Owner. Yeah. And that's what I've been attempting to do. But because of life circumstance, I can't do that right now. So I'm sort of setting things up for the future. So that's going to work out. A lot of people, they don't understand the difference. For example, someone may say, well, I'm a business owner. It's like, well, okay, so how many people are in the business? Oh, it's just me. It's like, well, no, you're just a self-employed. There's nothing wrong with that, being a self-employed freelancer, right? There's nothing wrong with it if you accept the fact that that's what you are. Like Seth Godin, he says he's a self-employed freelancer.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I get that. I think, and I would deliberately try to not with this business to become. I mean, I've been both, by the way. So when I was in the shed in the back garden, I was that freelancer startup, and I did a freelancer consultant type role. But the shift was, I guess, when you take on your first employee, because the moment what you start to realize is by recruiting somebody else, hope that frees you up to work on more valuable parts of your business. And in fact, one of the bits of advice I give to the agencies I mentor and I work with, and the people I just generally talk to in the sector is the agencies that don't commit to employees that tend to build networks of freelancers that often don't really grow that fast because they're not really committing to the business. They're not really committing to that. Because I have an EA and because Pete and I are in the business and because we have another employee, we have to pay the wages each month, which means there's an element of having to hit sales numbers, of having to hit revenue targets and stuff to pay for everybody, and that kind of changes the dynamic enough. Whereas when it's just you, right? If you don't really hit your sales number, it doesn't really matter, right? Because it's just you that you've got to pay for, and often you're not living off huge amounts of money, and you can always make it up next month if you want to. So I think there is you're right, there's a very fine line between being that independent person and then actually making that step to be able to recruit and commit to people, to turn this into a business. But just because you've got employees doesn't mean you're still not a lifestyle business, right? So I guess it's when the business starts to creep up beyond maybe 15, 16 employees that all of a sudden, the dynamic's changing and it's becoming more of a proper business.
Then it still could be a lifestyle business, couldn't it?
Of course. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the biggest lifestyle business that I've personally been into is probably about 90 employees, which is probably sort of 9-10 million in fees, and it's a pretty big business. It can be much bigger.
It's quite fun though, isn't it?
Yeah, but like all things, you can't see the wood for the trees, and sometimes when you get busy, you kind of, you do, it takes me sometimes, I just have to walk away, go for a long walk and just reflect back and just remind yourself sometimes how much you enjoy. I love what I do, but even I get wrapped up, sometimes in dealing with, because I guess when you're helping other businesses, that you're constantly helping them overcome challenges that they've got. So sometimes, it's fun, but sometimes it doesn't feel like fun when you're solving their problems for them, if that makes sense.
Oh, completely.
But when I look back, I'm very grateful for the opportunity I've created in Cactus, the business I now run. And writing a book was great fun as well. I mean, I cursed and moaned all the way through it, but actually now I'm seeing the benefits of it. And that's really, really exciting for me. All of a sudden, when you've got people globally contacting you, asking you for help, and all of a sudden your business goes from, helping people in the UK to helping people around the world, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I think I'm going to write another book. I wrote a book, but I was just at the time, my mindset wasn't right. And like, I did it on personal branding. Yeah. But the thing was, I was just like, well, actually, and then everyone started deciding they were personal branding experts. And I thought, do you know what? I don't need to compete with these people. I'm just going to do something else, because that's the thing, is that I don't see the point in competing. Like, there's no point in competing.
We've all got notifications coming up. Sorry.
How funny.
Sorry. I swear I was going to turn those off before I did this, but anyway.
It doesn't matter. It happens all the time, but so where was I? I had a really great train of thought there, and both those notifications just went. What was I talking about?
You were talking about, do you know what you're talking about? And I completely was connecting with it, was you wrote the book and then you felt like everybody else had written the same book.
Yeah. So exactly. So I just decided that, do you know what? I'm not gonna do a book on personal branding anymore. I'm just gonna sell it myself on my own website. If people buy it, then that's great, right? And that's what I did. And it's a really good book, yeah. But I think the next book I'm gonna write, I've got a title for it. I'm not gonna talk about it now, but I'm gonna try and get my dad to help me write it because he's had his own business. He used to teach business. He was Britain's leading business management expert for 10 years back in the 80s. Yeah. So, I'm going to try and recruit him to help me. He will say, yeah, sure, Nat, I'll help you. But he's 85. So he'll be like, you can do the work and I'll just sit and read it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is fine because it's actually really nice to just hang out with you folks,
But that point you made there, I think is quite, because so when I set up Cactus to help agencies scale, there was nobody else in the UK doing this, right? And you might remember we set this sort of other business up called the Agency Collective, which was almost helping the sub £1 million agencies, which is the majority, grow. No one was supporting agency growth, and no one was holistically under the bonnet helping agencies scale. Forward the clock 5-6 years later, it feels like every single person on the planet is doing what I do now, of course. And so we wrote the book Agencynomics as a way to, in a way to kind of, I guess, just commoditize to a certain degree most of the information that was maybe often, not really published, not really. But since I've written the book, I think there's been two or three more books have come out. Yeah. And the thing is that I think that's just life, right? You're a lead, you lead or you follow. You're sometimes, I think I was told once it was, pioneers get scalped. I've always kind of been I wasn't the first person to build websites as a company, but I was kind of close to it. And I wasn't the first person to write a book on how to grow an agency, but I was pretty close to it. And I think, you're always going to find whatever you do, business or writing, and your new ventures, all of a sudden lots of people doing it. But I think you do have to run your own race. I think the lesson I've learned in life now is I've switched off all of the noise to the competition of people around me, and I just literally focus on my own race, because I know that I work, more progressively, let's say, than most other people. So I will always lead to a certain or lesser extent.
Yeah.
I think you've got to do the same, really.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think it's a question of attitude as well, isn't it? But also it goes back to who do you want to work with? Because there are going to be certain people that you love to work with, and I love to work with, right? Because I'm not being funny, but we're quite similar in our, I don't like admin, you don't like admin. I don't like finance, you don't like finance.
I'm sure we have the same Myers-Briggs personality, I'm sure.
Right. So all of the people, it seems, that I talk to on a daily basis, most of them are like us, yeah? But so the people who are very different, I'm not going to enjoy doing business with on the whole, because they're actually going to just do my head in, yeah? And that's the same with you. And I suppose that's when you decide, right, I'm going to build a business and deal with people that I don't want to deal with myself. So I need to hire people who are this type of person who will deal with that type of individual,
I mean, I'm not sure I'd be as harsh as that. I mean, I find myself actually often better when I have opposite people around me. I know what you're saying. So in terms of personality types, if I'm going out and I'm meeting people I want to work with, I do get on really well with other expressive, extroverted people, right? Because, I can have good banter and everything else. But sometimes when I'm trying to, if I'm trying to grow a business, sometimes I recognize that some of the best people I work with are creatives. They are engineers. They're often introverted. And actually, although that's the complete opposite of me, I think I'm 99% extrovert. It's like, I do get on very well. It's that Steve Jobs and Wozniak kind of, partnership. My business partner is the complete opposite of me, but You know, in some ways that we would together we become something. Oh look, I thought I'd turn them off and they're still bleeping.
It's all right. Mine will go off. Mine will go off in a minute.
And so, but you are right. I mean, I do find that the people like me, I guess I know how to inspire those people and how to motivate those people. And I guess we relate to each other better. And I would say in agencies, it's interesting because when I'm trying to scale agencies up, the people who are more like me tend to grow businesses faster because they are often more sales focused. They are often more, you know, they have, you know, stronger visions. They maybe they have more drive ultimately. And they're not necessarily as a craftsman, you know, whereas the creatives and the technical, they want to build a business, you know, the product, the service, the products, or the service, or the brand, everything comes first. And I totally respect that, but then I think there are different techniques for those people to scale compared with me. So, yeah, look, I think, you know, I'm fascinated by the whole subject of personalities and learning to understand how to motivate different types of personalities, because I think that's the real challenge. It's easy for us to get energy from people like ourselves, right? But it's how do you inspire people without your personality to achieve, you know, their goals as well.
That's interesting that you're interested in that. I'm interested in actually how to communicate with those certain other types of individuals. That's what I'm into right now, is just sort of learning the type of message to send to that particular person that's gonna not inspire them, just gonna get the result that I want.
Do you know Crystal Knows?
Pardon?
Do you know the product Crystal Knows?
Is that like a techie communication product that plugs into emails and stuff and suggests the right words to use?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used the beta one earlier on, and it was a little bit shaky. But actually, a client I used it, and I must relook at it myself. But what it would do is say, you know, this person you're writing to is really detailed based on all of the emails they've sent you so far, their LinkedIn profile, their Twitter profile. So it uses kind of AI and it mixes in with their personality. And do you know what? I'm not saying it's an exact science, but sometimes, like it says for me, when emailing Spencer, always use 4 lines or less. Yeah. And you know what? It's so true. If you email me with less than 4 lines, I will reply to you probably within a matter of hours. If you write more than 4 lines, it takes me a week. because to do a detailed reply, I have to sit down, I have to be in the right frame of mind, and I have to give it proper attention. I need no distractions. And I pretty much only get that time on a Sunday morning if I decide to get up and, you know, and try and do a little bit of work. So I think that's a great tool that's worth checking out. In fact, I must recheck it out.
That's very cool. I'll try and dig out a link for that in the show notes. I'll have a little look.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you an email and tell me see how it says I have to email you. I bet it says please write a short, brief email.
Yeah, 2 lines, like 1 line.
Yeah.
But no, that tool actually I think plugs into one of the tools. I use something called Nimble CRM, and it's like I'm going to pop a link in the show notes for that as well, because it's basically like a what would you call it? It's like a CIA tool, a CRM that basically every piece of public content around an individual has put online, it will go and scour it, and then it will pull it straight in. What?
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I use it. I'm a Nimble partner, and I'm interviewing the CEO in the next week or so around CRMs. He built something called Goldmine.
I remember Goldmine, yeah, because Goldmine and Act were kind of the 2 old CRMs back in the day we'd use. So what's that product called? That's the CIA one?
Nimble. I'll drop you a link because I have like a referral code. So if you go to natschooler.com/nimble, then you can actually pick up a 40% discount on Nimble CRM, which is the most amazing social CRM that I was talking to Spencer about. So yeah, I hope you like it. And if you put in the voucher code John40, so that's JON 40, then you will get, first of all, you get your 2 weeks free, and then you will get your 40% discount for 3 months. And I love Nimble. I use it every day.
Well, the problem is I do use another well-known CRM system, and I'm not migrating anything away. It's been too painful to get back to. But there used to be Charlie app, didn't there? Who used to go, because what I love doing with my AC clients is getting them to do persona work on their own clients. So who are their clients? What are their interests? What are they into? And Charlie app used to do that, but now I think they've turned it into a commercial product. I think I need to check it out. But
right,
this product you've said sounds brilliant.
Well, I'm a Nimble partner, so
okay.
I sort of work quite closely with those guys. But the tool is so amazing because, like you can have a conversation with someone in an email, and they might email you. Well, you just copy their name, drop their name and email into this thing, and it will go and find them. And it'll find them on LinkedIn, it'll find them on Facebook, find them on Twitter and Angel List, wherever the hell they are. And then you just go, yep, that's him. Click, 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 click. And then it pulls it all in and and you basically, you know exactly what they've been up to, you know which platforms they post on the most, and also it's got like a Twitter integration as well, which is really cool. So yeah, and it integrates. I use it as my inbox. It's my inbox now. Like literally, I just use that instead of any. I don't use it.
Really good.
But it's you get lost in this geeky world.
Yes. It's not that I'm a stalker. I just forget things a lot. So like when someone tells me what football team they support, I always forget. So those tools are great more for me just to remind me of those little details that maybe I'm sometimes can't always remember. So,
I'm just laughing. I'm laughing at you because I'm the same. And what's really funny is they say that all really intelligent people forget loads of stuff. So don't worry.
Oh, fantastic. I'll take that as a compliment.
That's classic, man.
For me, it's because I'm a visual learner. I'm really a visual learner, and I just have to take some time to store these things in my head rather than just have a conversation. They never tend to stick, So
that's really funny. So how do people get hold of you then, Spencer, if they want to find you and get some help in growing their digital or you deal with other agencies and other businesses, or is it just digital marketing?
No, I do, I use the word agency, but I don't mean government agencies or recruitment agencies. I specifically work with design, brand, creative, advertising, marketing, technology businesses that sell a service, so more like what we call digital agencies. But I think today most agencies have digital or technology at the heart of everything they do. Even the brand agencies I work with are very, very innovative in terms of technology. So yes, I guess there's a skew a little bit because I'm good with technology. I have good understanding of the way it's evolving, the speed it's evolving, and that helps keep my clients' services less commoditized. I got rid of that, and then another one just came on.
It happened. I just leave them in now. People are used
to put on disturb on everything, but somehow that one's got through on some other kind of notification. But anyway, so LinkedIn is probably the best way to get hold of me. But the one thing I would say is I only connect to people that I met or know, which is a really big bone of contention. So what I would say is if you do add me on LinkedIn, please send me a message. Actually, I'm quite happy there for it to be more than 4 lines. But please send me a message telling me a bit about yourself and your business. And then what I normally do is I try and set up a call just to speak to understand more about what you've been up to and what your plans are. And so LinkedIn, I would say, is the best way.
So you've basically been doing this digital agency Cactus for 10 years?
Yeah, so it's 8 years because I took some time out after selling the business just to really think about what I want to do next. And yeah, so it's been 8 years now, and I've helped over 1,000 agencies, and my core clients on average grow about 85% per year. So that's quite fast growth. We have some good methodology to help accelerate growth and also overcome growth challenges that agencies hit, because we all hit them all businesses hit them at certain sizes. So yeah, there you go.
Very cool. Well, thanks so much for your time. I know you got to get off, and so have I. So speak to you soon.
Yeah, been great speaking to you, and I'd love chewing the fat, as they say.
Thanks so much for listening. Please subscribe, and wherever you prefer, share with your friends. And if you enjoyed the show, drop us a review on iTunes or wherever you listen.